Hello and welcome back to the 7th episode of the Clean Hour podcast. We're back today. We're over halfway now, and today's all about operations and efficiency. Let's get into it, man. Matt, you all right? What's going on?
Yes, I'm good. I've just got back from another large roof clean. But yeah, all good, man. All good. The weather's been up and down, but for work-wise, yeah, we're good. We're really, really good. We're in a good place at the moment, enjoying it. Just stay dry for a couple of weeks would be nice.
Good man. So, a bit of a different one today. So, I think the first 6 have been about, vision setting, marketing, what you can do to get more work in. That's kind of been a key theme of the first 6. This is more about, I guess, now the work's in, how can we streamline our business? And not just when the work's been, getting your leads in, how do you deal with that? How do you quote? How do you make sure everything runs efficiently so you can maximize profit, basically? That's the way to look at it, because time is money. And I think the first thing that we could talk about with this is, it's a phrase that I've been told a lot, and we've spoken about it before, is it, do you own a business or do you own a job? And there is a difference, isn't there? Because if you own a business, or if you run a business, if you can take time out of that business, it will still run for you. If you have a job, if you stop working, the business stops and you don't make any money. So why in your opinion, is it important to maximize your efficiency and kind of get all those systems in place before it kind of gets crazy?
Well, I think the first thing to do is unpick the job, or do you run a business? Because that's really key to efficiency. Because what you've got is some people choose to have a job because it's a lifestyle business. You may only want to work 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year, and take 3, 4, 5 months off travelling. So that there is a lifestyle business stroke job, where when you stop, it stops. And then the other side is when you want to go full on, and like rightly you said, when you step out of that, it carries on. It doesn't miss a beat. So they're the two things. And normally when you're growing or want a business, there's probably, as we've always said, build it to sell. You are building something, and that's where then efficiency really, really kicks in. And it should kick in if it's still a lifestyle choice, a job, but more so when you're running a business. Because everything we do has to focus around efficiency. And as the pod goes on, we'll get right into this. But I just wanted to clear up that they're the two things. And none of them are right and none of them are wrong. Do you know what I mean? You can have a lifestyle job, or you can run a business. And I just want to get that. I don't want people sat thinking, oh Christ, well there's only me and me and my own, and when I stop I haven't really got a business. You have. It's just a lifestyle business. And when you go away, your business, you park it up, you turn everything off, and you go away, relax and do what you need to do. And I think clearing that up at the start, it is really important for this episode. We don't want to alienate people from the get-go with it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, to be honest, it's just as important, because if it is just you, well, you've got even less time and less resources. So making yourself as efficient as possible will benefit you just as much. Like you said, if you don't want to grow a big business, that's absolutely fine, but you still need these systems in place, because you can try. We've all been the accountant and the marketer and the cleaner and the labourer. We've all been the same, wearing all the different hats for a business. But I'd imagine that most people, even if you are a one-man band, you get into business because you want to work for yourself and you want some element of freedom, right? And you want to earn a certain amount of money. Otherwise, why would you do it? You just go and get a job. So sometimes I think the danger is with it, not just in this business, but any business, people start working for themselves, but they get so caught up in it and doing everything that they're a slave to it then. And then what is the point in doing it? Because you aren't earning as much as you could do if everything was efficient, and you've got no time. So you're doing it. We do it for ourselves. We do it to make better lives, don't we, for ourselves? So you've got to find ways to enjoy it and make it more efficient. Otherwise, you're just going to, like I said, you'll become a slave to it and you'll end up resenting it. And that's not what any of us want, because we're all entrepreneurs, we're all business people. So no matter what level you want to get to, we've got to put systems in place, haven't we? Otherwise, yeah, it'll turn into chaos either way, and that's not what anyone wants. So yeah, it's definitely important. So let's talk about then efficiency. So there's lots of ways that we could look at this. We could talk about leads. We could talk about making the cleaning process more efficient. Where do you think we should start here? What topic should we pick to go into first?
For me, right, being ex-military, it is drilled into you that all your shit is in one sock, so you know where everything is. And I see it over and over again. And I think there's another podcast going round at the moment with, I think it's PWS, and they go in the back of boys and girls vans, and they're just in shit state.
Right.
They're in absolute shit state. There's kit everywhere, right? Can you imagine? I can't imagine getting to a job on Monday morning, opening the back of my van, and there's just kit everywhere. And I see them hunting for this and hunting for that. And I just like, and that for me, that's where it starts. Okay. That everything has a place. If you need a 10mm spanner, you can go straight to your van and get that 10mm spanner. If you need a turbo nozzle, you go to your van and get that. If you're looking round for stuff, literally, you're not efficient. And that's where it really, really starts. Because most people start, don't they? One-man band in the van is the office, they're on the phone. And at the start, you haven't got the money to put in the structure and outsourcing the tasks at the start to make you efficient, office administration side. But there's nothing stopping you from being efficient in your van and efficient on the job. So like going out on a Sunday and doing all your chemicals, testing all your pumps, testing all your pressure washers, filling all your fuels up, drying and cleaning all your cloths, making sure your van is packed and loaded, ready to go. If it's going to be hot, sticking 5 or 6 bottles of water under your seat. So everything, when you get to the site, your pressure washer is going to work. Your lance is going to work. Your hoses are clean. You've got cans of WD-40. Your chemicals are pre-mixed. Everything is ready. And when it gets hot, you've got bottles of water under your seat. That is where everybody, if you're just starting your journey, make sure that your van is like that. If you're opening the back doors to your van and you can't find things, that's just, it's killing you. It's making the job harder and longer for you. Everything needs a place. So that's where I would be starting. Right at the start, making sure your van is squared away and your van is super efficient for you to do your work. 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think that has a psychological effect as well. You'll know that being if that was drilled into you for years, but I've always adopted it. Just little things like like making your bed in the first thing as soon as you get up. It's really simple, but that has a follow-on impact for the rest of the day. And I think if you take pride in your van and you have everything organised and you make sure you got spares of everything, even little things like O-rings. Like I remember when the first time one of my O-rings went, I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't have any. I had to go to the shop halfway through a job, lost a load of time. Filling up your petrol before, like on a Sunday, like you said, making sure your petrol's all filled up and your spares full as well, your jerry can. So you can, because ultimately what it comes down to is you want to try and do as many jobs as possible in the day, can't you? Or do as much work as you can, because that's going to bring you back more money. And I've been there. I've been in my Berlingo with everything crammed in and not knowing where anything was, and it's absolute chaos. And you can't grow like that now. Now the van's organised and there's everything's in place and there's much more space. But I do think once it is all there and tidy, you know where everything is, then you're more likely to follow that through then, and then that will impact other parts of your business. Because if your van's messy, if you can't be asked to look after your van, you ain't going to be asked to look after your back end systems or any of that kind of stuff, are you? So it definitely has an impact on it. Yeah, okay, so that's the first thing then. So also it's about finding bottlenecks as well, I think, isn't it? Because when you realise, like I remember you said to me when you do your roof cleans, it's like a military operation, isn't it, with you and your labourer? Yeah. And that, yeah. I think, not if everything's a mess and everything's chaotic, then you couldn't be like that. Like, talk us through what kind of process is with you and your labour then, because you've said before it's like a military operation, haven't you? Because you do a lot. What do you do, like 4 or 5 roofs a week?
Every week. Yeah.
And you can't do that if your systems aren't in place and you know where everything is, can you?
And the other thing with that is our next available date, I think, is the 1st of October. So jobs can't run over. They can't run over because we've got nowhere to get them in. You know, we have to be super efficient. So I spent the first probably 6 weeks training Keith on the ground operation. You know, this goes there, that's where the compressor goes, this is how the hoses go. When we get to site, when the van stops, this is your first job. Yes, it's micromanagement for the first 6 weeks. After the first 6 weeks, it's now on autopilot. We get there, we say hello. We have a quick look at the job, where we're going to set up, where's the machine going, happy days. We then both spring into action. I do all the machine work. I get the cherry picker in, I get the boards out. I do all that. While I'm doing that, he's fueled the Cobra. He's got the airlines. He's got it plugged in. He's got my pole and brush in the basket. He's got my harness out. He's got the gutters disconnected. He's got the ladders out. He's got everything set up. Literally, as we're doing it simultaneously, we then go to work. Once I get up and start cleaning, he then starts to clean up as it's falling down. He's cleaning, he's getting the window cleaning stuff ready. He knows when I'm going to need the chemicals. He's pulling the hoses off the van. He's turning the chemicals on. He's getting the chemical brush. Literally, by the time I step out of that basket at the end of the day, everything's done. Everything is pretty much squared away. Whilst I'm loading the machine back on the trailer, he's normally knocking on the door and doing the handover. And then we're in the van and gone. And that's why we're able to finish most days at 3 o'clock. You know, it's not that we're not stopping for lunch, or we're not having breaks, or we're not having a coffee. It's just that, you know, and this made me laugh. A client sent me a video the other day of a house that they were cleaning, and he said, "Mark, look at this, brilliant, 6:10, and we're almost done." And I looked at it and I thought, we'd have been home at 3:30. because that's what we've drilled in to the routine. You know, the routine is that efficient that it allows us to be in and out. But it is like a military operation. And for 6 weeks, it doesn't work for everyone, right? There is some labourers that will go, fucking doing that, no chance. Well, they're not for me. You know, Keith's come in, he's bought into it, because he's bought into it and gone, well, if I learn what I need to do and become super efficient as a team, guess what? I'll be home by 3:30 every day. Yep. Winner. He gets paid a full day. So he's having a right touch. But it is that everything has a place. Yep. And everything has to happen in a certain sequence for us to be efficient. And that was it. It just took about 6 weeks of training, Keith. Every day, every clean. Go through the stages, this is how we do it. But not just this is how we do it, but this is why we do it. Why do we load the van in a certain way? Because everything has a place and it has to go in that place. Why is that? Because if I go to the van, if you've put something somewhere else, and then I have to walk round the back of the house and say to you, Keith, I can't find the 10mm spanner. Oh yeah, put it in the glove box. Don't put it in the glove box. That's why everything has a place. So then we both know where everything lives. We're never hunting for anything. We are literally, you take it from that place, it goes back to that place. And it may sound a bit, you know, pedantic, a bit anal, well, that's a bit much. But I promise you, Christ, it speeds the day up. It makes things so much more efficient. It changes the game for you.
Well, it drills home the fact that we said earlier, systems create freedom, and it will reduce your stress as well. But also, you know what I'm thinking there? I'm thinking if you document that, I don't know if you do, as in literally, like, either you film the whole process once or you put it down on paper, almost like a manual. I think imagine if something like, so you're booked up till September now, right? October, sorry. Just imagine if you broke both your legs tomorrow, or something horrible happened, right, and you couldn't work.
Thanks.
That's a horrible scenario. So I hope it doesn't happen.
Thanks for that.
So I hope you don't break your legs. But if you did, imagine if you could, that the option is there to get a new roof cleaner in, and if everything is documented, it's almost like a handover. Bam, here you go. Here's our system. Here's our process, and it stops you losing money. And also, when you said building to sell, if you ever do decide to sell, then it's all there. It's all there for someone to come and take in and step over and go, perfect. So this is their systems. Bam, nothing changes. Yes, then you might want to tweak it if someone else does it, but it gives you the opportunity to step out to your business, whether it's through injury or choice and wanting to say goodbye to the business. It allows you to do that. It gives you that freedom, doesn't it? Whereas if it's all chaos and it's in your head, that's just never going to happen. It's not. So let's hope you don't break your legs.
So yeah, it'd be nice. It is. It's. I think with it, right. I look at the van. I know I can say to Keith, go and get X, or he can ask me to go, and we just know exactly where it is. There's no hunting for it.
Yeah.
You know, so that little bit of time to go and get it, we're not hunting, we're not messing around. I think if people adopt a military style van and a military style operation, you know, and it was drilled into me from a young age, right? You need to know what everything is. At 3:00 in the morning, when you're being attacked, you need to know where your boots are, where your rifle is, where your bag is. You ain't got time to go looking for it. And that's, I've just brought that into, and I think anybody ex-military watching this will understand that your van literally needs to be organised so you know where everything is all the time. And that's just a real big, that's something, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You just need a little bit of time on a Saturday, organise your van, and that's where it stays. Job done. That's it. Yeah.
I think all the top guys that I know, they do the same thing. If you look at the really good roof cleaning companies, they're all militant like that. I know when I first started, I went up with a company up north and spent 3 days with them. And I remember we got to the first site, and bear in mind I was in training, and they all just got out the van without saying anything to each other and just started doing they all had their assigned role. And they weren't saying anything to me. I was just watching them. I was like, what the hell's going on here? But the one was on the tower, one was plugging the hoses in, one was doing all this. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. It's unbelievable. It's so much more. I think it elevates you, and it also looks way better to the customer as well. Not only does it save time and make your business more efficient, you just look the real deal, and they're more likely to recommend you then, instead of some cowboy rocking up with everything falling out the van and not knowing what he's doing and taking 3 days when it should take half a day. I think it just looks better overall. Okay, so that's kind of on the job systems that you can do. Let's talk about more for the business owner then. So what do you reckon takes the most time for business owners, would you say, looking at it? Like in a typical week for a standard clean, even if it's just one man or a multi-van outfit, do you reckon takes up the most time and gives you most stress?
And you're probably not gonna guess what I'm gonna say, but you know what it is if you do it right.
Go on.
Social media.
I agree.
Social media. If nowadays, there's two ways of answering this. If I go back 20 years, when I was, 5-6 years into my journey, I would say invoicing, chasing, pricing would be the thing that tied me up. Fast forward to today, and I would say social media. I would say to be constant on social media across all platforms, whether you're doing short form, long form, reels, posting, before, afters, drone flying, time lapse, interviews, paid ads. I would say I probably spend easily 2.5 hours a day on my social media content. Granted, you may think I look like I only spent a couple of minutes, but the time to record it, to re-record it, to check it, to put it through, to have the captions put on, to make it relevant to what we're doing. Then you make a mistake. Then you want to change it and X, Y, and Z, right? And then post it across multiple platforms every day. And it's not every day for a week and then you can't be asked for a month. It's every day. Every day. Some days are really hard because some days you're really up against it. But that I would say, if you're serious in 2026 about exterior cleaning, then social media is one of the biggest jobs you're going to have to do. It's just one of the biggest jobs you're going to have to do, right? And then there's a flip side to that, because I believe, my personal take on it is it's one of the jobs you can't farm out. I see big companies farming out their social media to a social media manager, and it's wank. There's no correlation to their company. It's all corporate. It's all corporate images. It's the logo. And I just think, what? You're probably paying them several £1,000s a month to post 3 or 4 times a day. And then, and I'm not going to name them. I'm not going to name the companies, right? Because that's not what we're here to do. But I look at their social media and I just think, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, founders, you know, personal brand founders will be more passionate about their business, more authentic to their customers than somebody you're paying a couple of grand a month because she's great on Canva and she can put your logo and a time lapse up for you, mate. And I know what they're going to say, people watching this. Well, I ain't got time, Matt. I haven't got time to do 2.5 hours a day. And I get that because we're busy. But I'll tell you what I do. My day starts at 4 o'clock. The first hour and a half of my day is planning my social media. I'll make notes. I may even record some stuff. I'll go to the Cobra office and I'll do some stuff there. I'll come into my office. So before the working day has even started, I've probably done an hour and a half of social media, getting it ready, getting it drilled down. So when I go on site, I've got a plan. And that's what people are missing. People say, oh, I ain't got time, you know. You have. Just get up earlier. Get up earlier. Start earlier. And that's where efficiency starts. Lying in your bed till 7 o'clock isn't being efficient. And I'm not one of these mentors that says, get up at 4 o'clock, ice bath, meditate, 15 minutes of reading, you know, go and have a herbal tea and go and smash yourself in the gym for 90 minutes. I'm not. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But unfortunately, if you're running a small, medium enterprise and you're still doing the lion's share of the work, because the money isn't there to farm out other tasks, you've got to start your day earlier. Just start it earlier. Get up at 4:30. Get up at 5 o'clock. Get in the zone. Get a coffee. Get your electrolytes. Get on social media. Start planning the day. But I would say social media is the biggest killer for any small, medium enterprise nowadays, 100%.
Yeah. First, I want to go back to in a sec when you said because the money's not there. That's a really big issue, and I think that leads on to other things. But first, with social media, yeah, I agree. I think with social media, you have to be regular. You have to be posting 3-4 times a week, every week, to see a difference. And it's really easy. If you miss 1 week or you miss 2 weeks, it's very easy to turn into 3-4 then, isn't it? And when you lose the habit, I mean, what is it, 21 days to make a habit? So my camera's playing up here. It's all going crazy. The sun's shining right in. Sorry. 21 days to make a habit. If you don't stick at it, so if you don't keep posting and get into that rhythm of doing it, you're very unlikely to stick to it, and then it's going to affect you long term. With social media, a CRM is really, really helpful and useful. I don't know if you use that. I don't think you do. I'm not sure, but CRMs basically they save you so much time. So on the CRM that I use, you can schedule all your social media in one go. So you can like batch schedule it. So maybe like once a week you could look at it. If you can dedicate a time like 1 day a week to all your admin stuff if you can. You can batch post everything. So you upload it onto your CRM, you put your captions, your hashtags in, choose your platform, Insta, TikTok, whatever. And then you can schedule like up for the next week or two, and it will save you so much time. And so if you don't have the time at all right now, try and work out something like that. So use a CRM and plan it in advance, and then you don't have to worry about it then for the next 2 weeks. And then maybe you do it again 2 weeks later for the next 2 weeks. That makes sense. If you can't do it like you've just said, find a way to do it. There are ways around it if you don't want to do that every day. But I think the message is you have to stick at it, isn't it? And because you will never follow through with it. What you just said about the money not being there, that's interesting. I think it's really interesting. It's like a trade-off, isn't it? It's like, do you save money but make your life more stressful and do everything yourself, or do you outsource it and farm it out? Not necessarily farm it out, but delegate. Delegate's a big one. Do you remember? I think we said on the last podcast, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And learning to delegate and finding people to do the jobs that you can't do, don't have the time to do. That will take you further, way further than you realise. So what stuff do you delegate with? I mean, I guess we have an accountant and stuff, don't you? But do you try and pass on tasks to other members of your team as much as you can?
We do, and across all businesses, right? So across my 4 businesses, everything is delegated. I've got my roles in each business, and each business, I've got a different role in each business. And then team members, directors and partners have all got a different role in those businesses as well. Because you want people with the best strengths doing the jobs that suit them. I'm not the best at fucking all sorts, so I don't do it. I just don't do it. I don't do what I'm not good at. I do what I'm good at. And if we take the roof cleaning, right? There's 2 of us in the roof cleaning. I'm great at cleaning roofs. I'm great at selling. I'm great at the social media. All the administration, the booking, the invoicing, the chasing, the reviews, the insurances, the chemical ordering, the machine servicing, the Lolas, the van MOTs. I can't do any of that. So Tess does all that. She runs the office like a military operation. Everything is done. Doesn't matter when the van needs the van. I just get told it's in my diary. You're not cleaning that day. The van's going in. You're not doing that. That's getting serviced. She does all that. But I'll tell you a funny story about delegation, right? I moved into my first office in Swindon in probably 2010, maybe. I come out of, like everyone, I came out of a spare bedroom or a kitchen table and thought, this was it. It's getting too big. I need to be in an office because I need somebody to do the administration. So I moved into this office, and then I recruited my first clerical member of staff. This young lady applied she had just graduated with a first in business studies from Bristol University, and she came to work for me, right? And we had this office that was 2 desks facing each other, and you had a tiny little box, right? And we had a phone in the middle, and every time the phone rang, I used to grab it before she could to answer it. And in the end, she said to me, it's pointless me being here, isn't it? She said, it's pointless me being here because you're just going to do everything. And she said, that's not how it works. Yeah. And I was like, And that conversation then changed the rest of my life. That conversation. Because then I just went, yeah, she's right. Why am I answering the phone? That's what she's paid to do. And I'm taking her job. And once I did that, we struggle as entrepreneurs, right? And the reason we struggle, we honestly believe that nobody does it as good as us. Nobody. So that's the mindset we've got, right? That no one does it as good as us. But once you start letting people in, and don't get me wrong, people will fucking mess it up and not do it as good as you until you get the right people in. And then what you'll find is they do it better than you. They do it quicker than you. They do it smarter than you. You know, and then all of a sudden you're like that. And then the mindset changes, right? You start doing things that you're good at, building, future-proofing, future planning, thinking of bigger tasks, bigger numbers, how we're going to grow, and let your team do all the stuff they're really good at. And then all of a sudden, then you'll see the growth. Then you see the growth. But if you are obsessed with keeping everything to yourself, you are going nowhere. One, it will be not a nice place to work because people don't want to be micromanaged. People want to be given responsibility. They want to have ownership for their role. And that works both ways. If it's good, they're praised. If they get it wrong, then they're fucking told they got it wrong. But people buy into that. If you give people enough space in a company, they will flourish. Zoe, who is my MD of the fire and security company, she came to me 15 years ago as a part-time administrator. She's worked her way up to MD of a multi-million-pound fire and security company from an administrator.
That's great.
Because we give her space, we give her training, we give her encouragement, we let her flourish, we let her bring her ideas, we let her have her say. You know, but not only do we give her the MD's role, right? We actually give her, I think we give her 20% of the company.
Nice.
So she owns 20% of the company. You know, you find an owner that does that. That's when you find good people. You buy into good people. And if you buy into them and give them that space, your company will flourish. 100%. I promise you.
I think it comes down to, like you said, you feel like no one will do it as good as you. I think it comes down to something a bit deeper. I think you think, I felt like this when I've hired before. They don't care. They won't care as much as you. I think that's what's deeper down. You think, I've built this. This is my baby. This is my business. And do I want to hand it over to someone who's not gonna care as much? But I don't think it matters. No one will ever care as much as you, will they, for your business? They just won't.
No.
They just, like the woman that you're describing there, she sounds amazing, but deep down she probably doesn't care as much as you do because how can she? It's yours. And I think it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters that these people don't care. Like, let that go. They can still do an even better job than you without caring as much. It can even be better because they don't have the emotional attachment to it. And I think the thing is to think a few things. First of all, what task would you love to never do again? I think that's something to think about. And then also a thing to think about is, do you want to spend your time doing tasks that are X amount per hour? Or do you want to do tasks that are like director, CEO tasks that are going to bring you back money? Because we all have the same amount of time in a day. Do you want to spend it doing accounts? Do you want to spend it scheduling social media? Do you want to spend it doing these little tasks? Or do you want to spend it fucking making something that's going to bring more business to you and bring you more income? Do you want to do high level tasks? I think that's what we got to think about, isn't it? You got to, what do you want from it? If you want to grow it, you can't be doing these smaller tasks that are going to take up all your time. You have to sort out what doesn't need you and put your energy into growing the business. I think that's where people go wrong, I think, in all aspects of business, not just in cleaning. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do, yeah. But I also think that people outsource these jobs too early.
Yes.
And they outsource them because they're not efficient in their own lives.
Do you think they get excited?
And I think there's Yeah. They grow too quickly, right? And they don't want to do the cleaning, or they don't want to do the accounts, or they don't want to do the social media. And a little bit of it is because they want to puff the chest out and make it look like they're doing really well. And it's a bit of an ego thing. One of the best things I could really give, especially if you're starting out, right, is do every job. Because if you do every job, you understand every job. Mm. You can't employ somebody to come in and run your operations if you don't know how to run operations yourself.
Yes.
How do you employ a bookkeeper if you don't know your basic numbers? You know, you've got to know. You know, how do you employ someone for sales if you can't sell? You've got to do all these jobs, and I'm not saying you do them forever. I'm just saying you've got to be. You as an entrepreneur, right? I honestly believe that, the old saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none." I think that's a real big thing for entrepreneurs, right? Because I think you're better off being a jack of all trades. I can sell, I can do my numbers, I can do a bit of marketing, I can clean, I can drive the cherry picker, I can do accounts, I can do hiring, I can do firing, I can do planning. There's not one there that I'd say I'm absolutely nailed on brilliant at. But what I would say is I can do them really, really good. And if I want someone to do it instead of me, then I know what I'm asking and what I'm telling them to do. And that, I think that's really important. But what we do when we start off, right, we get obsessed with cleaning. And the accounts and everything behind the scenes, because it's mundane and we can't be arsed doing it, we don't do it. We think we'll just go cleaning. We'll go cleaning, we'll get paid, and that'll be it. And everything else in the background will just fall into place. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't fall into place. Yes, we've got to earn money. Yes, we need to keep busy. But you've also got to make the time. When I see these business owners and I say to them, "What are you doing the weekend?" "Oh, nothing. I've got 2 days off." I'm like, "Oh, have you got 2 days off?" "Have you got 2 days off?" "What time do you start in the morning?" "Oh, don't leave the house till 8. "Right, time you home?" "About 4:30. What are you doing at night?" "Nothing." And I'm like, how? I have always, not just now, but for the last 26 years, I've worked weekends, I've worked nights, and I've worked early mornings. Always. Because there's always something that needs to be done. And it doesn't matter if you're a one-man band or there's 100 of you. There is always something that has to be done. But people just don't do it. They just can't be arsed. And then they wonder why they end up in a mess. Because they're just not doing what they need to do.
It's easy to get into chaos, isn't it? But I don't think everyone's cut out for being an entrepreneur. And I don't think they realise it. I think that some people become cleaners and they think they're an entrepreneur, and that's not to have a go at anyone, but are they really? I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, it goes back to, do you own a business or a job? I think it goes back to that, and it's okay to not be one or the other. You know what I mean? You can be whichever one. It's fine. But if you think you want to be an entrepreneur, but you're not doing the things that entrepreneurs do, it's going to catch up with you eventually, and that's when we go into chaos and overwhelm, and then it's panic stations, isn't it? It's like we said before, digging your well before you're thirsty. That's a phrase I think of a lot. Yeah.
I think it is. I think the mindset, we use the word entrepreneur, right? We use it quite a lot, and we talk about it quite a lot. I would say that my definition of an entrepreneur for me is someone that solves problems. That's what it is. You as an entrepreneur, you are there. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, then your role is problem solver. Whichever industry you're in. For me, a real who's probably one of the most famous entrepreneurs? Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. What does he do? He solves problems, right? The American government brought him in on the last presidency when Donald Trump got made up to sort out the business of the American economy. He's as mad as a brush, Elon Musk, isn't he? Mad as a brush. But he was brought in to solve that out, because real entrepreneurs are problem solvers. And I think sometimes the lines get blurred, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, right? And I think we use the word entrepreneur quite a lot. But I think realistically, we should look at external cleaning companies more as business owners than entrepreneurs. And especially if you're only doing one thing, entrepreneurial spirit is the multiple businesses, the multiple profitable business solving problems.
I agree.
I think if you're, and I think that's really something, and we could do another podcast about this, can't we? Because business owner, entrepreneur are probably two different things for me.
Yes.
That would be my take.
No, I agree. I Googled it then as you were talking, what the actual definition is. And you're pretty close, to be fair. An entrepreneur is an individual who organises, operates and assumes the financial risks of a new business venture. Risk tolerance, vision and innovation, initiative. Pretty much all the things that you just said. So I think entrepreneurialism, I think it's innate. I think it's a certain type of person. Because if you look at entrepreneurs around the world, they're all very similar. I think they all do similar things. All the things that you just mentioned and that's listed there, they do. I think it can be taught, but I think it's in you. I think it's a drive that you have in you to do it. Because not everyone wants the stress of it, and like we were saying, a lot of people might just want to clean a few drives and go home and take the pocket money. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But
absolutely perfect.
But there's some people who want to, reach for the moon. That they absolutely do, and I think you can tell those people. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I fall into that category, right? I've had nice, easy lives, nice, easy businesses, but I'm always driven for the next thing.
Yep.
Look at Cobra, right? I had a problem in my roof cleaning business. I couldn't get what I needed to keep my business going. So what have I done? I've now formed another company, manufactured everything in UK, importing from Italy. So I now self-supply. I self-supply my other business. When I say who supplies Cotswold roof cleaning? Cobra does. Who owns Cobra? I do.
Yep.
That to me is entrepreneurial. That is where you go out of your way. I put thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on the line on a gamble with Cobra. I could have lost every penny. I could have lost every penny in the blink of an eye. That to me is entrepreneurial, that you go that extra mile to solve problems that you have. And I think that's really important.
There's always, we should do a separate episode about this. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but
no, absolutely, yeah.
I read a lot of books, as in autobiographies. I just love them. I just love reading people's stories and find out how people got successful. And entrepreneurial books, there's always something. They were close to losing it all, or they went through a tough time, and then they got over it, and then they found a way. And that is the entrepreneurial spirit, I think. And that's knowing how to, going back to it, it's knowing how to be efficient and to organise things, because in chaos you need a calm mind and you need experience and you need to have structure, otherwise you'll just crumble. Absolutely. I want to talk a bit about follow-up with leads, so jumping back a bit here. So we talked about being effective and putting your operational processes in place for the van and being on the tools. Let's talk a bit about leads and follow-up systems and kind of quoting and stuff like that. So something that I'm a big advocate of is having a CRM system, like I mentioned earlier, but having a full automated follow-up system. And if it's not automated, having the next best thing. If you have, like, I know you have obviously someone in place to do all your follow-ups, but if you don't have your follow-up process, be it an automated message or employing someone, that's something that's going to ruin your business. Absolutely. If you're getting the leads in, but you have no way, you're not getting back to them quickly, you don't know where they've came from, you don't know what a lead is worth to you, you don't know your conversion rates, all these things. That is a huge system that I think a lot of people struggle and fail with in this industry. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think the problem with it is nowadays, society, people's buying has changed. And it's developed so much now, and we call it speed to lead,
yes,
don't we? Because people haven't got time to wait for an exterior cleaner to call them 5 days later to talk about jet washing the patio. They're not interested. It's done. Sat here today now, I want my patio jet washed.
Yep.
I find you, I inquire, I expect you to come back to me ASAP. Why? Because my life's really busy. If you don't come back to me really quickly, then I'm on to the next one.
Yep.
You're done. You've had your chance. And I think that really is a big point of it, that we do lose that. People don't get that. I still hear it. I still have discovery calls with people who are on the tools, and I'm saying, how's your leads go? Yeah, getting good leads. And how quick do you get back to them? Oh, you know what? Well, I might do it on a Friday night or a Saturday morning. And I'm going, well, when did the leads come in? Oh, through the week. How many leads have you had? Oh, I get about 10, 15 a week. What? And you're waiting 5 days to go back to him? Yeah. I'm like, are you busy? No, not really. God, just like that, really. And it is, and that efficiency. So, but it, like you said, doesn't matter whether you've got AI, somebody in the office, or you're doing it yourself. As long as you've got something in place to make that process efficient. But then we led on with that, didn't we? We're talking about, when I say to people, I've got someone who just finished a 12-week mentoring, right? When he started to me, and I said to him, your leads, where are they coming from? Oh, I don't know. How many do you get a week? I don't know. How many are you converting? I don't know. Just like that. But he was making good money, but he knew absolutely nothing about any of it. So I'm saying to him, how do you know what works, what doesn't work, and how do you know where to put your money to get the most out your money? He said, well, I don't. So that's why I'm sat in front of you, Matt.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah, all right. And I sort of went, right, okay, yeah, I get that. But he's not on his own, right? People don't get this. People are prepared to spend good money. You know, they're throwing good money on potentially bad ideas.
Yep.
Where if they just track the data for a quarter, they could probably save themselves money. Right, how many people come to you, right? How many people come to you to have your service that are still spending maybe $1,000 on Checkatrade, $3,000 on leaflets, you know, $1,000 or 500 quid on the Village magazine, you know, or they're paying some wanky Facebook group 20 quid a month, right?
Yeah.
And they are, right? They're doing it, right? They're doing this. And this isn't knocking people, but they're doing it. And then they come to you and you put them all Facebook, Instagram, ads, AI, all the bells, all the whistles. And all of a sudden, that little investment with you is making them 10x that they've ever made. Yep. But they carried on doing the wanky stuff. And it's, you've got to know what works for your business. Now, at times, different things will work. But if you're not monitoring what works and what the return on investment is, how do you know where to put your money?
Yep.
They're just throwing money down the drain constantly with it. And I think that's a real big issue in this industry.
I think if people say, like, the go-to seems to be leaflets, pressure washing, that's what all the Discords say. But like you said, how are you ever going to track them unless you put metrics in place to track them, which is hard for leaflets. You know, you have to know everything. You have to know what month ads work best for you. You have to know overall what is your return on investment. You got to know when things slow down, because then you can track trends. Like we said before, you know, it's a bit slow at the minute for a lot of people. It's summer, bookings slow down. Yeah. If this is your first year, you might shit the bed here and go, oh my God, it's all panicking. It's not, you know, it's all falling down. It's not working. But if last year tells you, well, guess what? June was a little slow last year in July. You're okay. Don't you ride it? It'll pop up again in August and September. But if you don't have that data, you just don't know, and it's so hard to scale. But it goes back to what we said at the start: is, you know, you got to think like a businessman, because you just have to put these systems in place to know this. Otherwise, you'll never know it, and you won't grow.
And I think ultimately, people do this because they want a better life. Yes. Right? They want a better life. There's no getting away around it. They want independence. They want more financial freedom, and they want a better life. Yep. So If you're serious about that and you're not just fucking playing around at it, then put these process. And it's not hard, is it, right? Every time you get a lead, write it on a piece of... If you're not good on a computer, write it on a piece of paper. Draw yourself a piece of A4 paper and put Google, Facebook, paid ads, leaflet. And every time you get a lead, put a tick in it. And at the end of the week, go, oh, I've had six from Facebook, or I've had 3 from leaflets. Go one step further. If you convert them, put the figures at the bottom. And then underneath that, put your spend.
Yeah.
So you know you're spending £1,000 on Facebook. You can look down and go, well, we generated 10 grand. That's a winner. We spent £1,000 on leaflets and we generated 270 quid because Jenny wants a drive jet washing. Right, I ain't fucking doing that again. Me £20 on the Facebook groups was a 0. Okay, but it gets me a bit of exposure, you know. And Google AdWords, I spent 500 quid and it generated 1,200. Okay, it washes its face. You've then got the data to make informed decisions where you put your money. Otherwise, you're just fucking opening the window and throwing it down the road. Come on, let's be sensible about it. You don't have to be a whiz on a computer. Just get a pen and paper. Mate, if you can't spell, just put the initial of what it is and put a tick in the box every time you get it. That's all I'm asking you to do, because it will massively change your spending, and it will massively increase your sales, because it won't increase your sales, it'll increase your leads.
It will show you how to grow. If X gets me Y amount of jobs, then that's what we got to spend. If you want double Y, spend double X. It's that. It's as simple as that. It's just metrics. Cool. All right. 7-8 minutes left. We got a question each, and we got a listener question that I want to get through. So this might be a bit rushed. After me saying, I think last episode I said, oh, it's not gonna be. It's not rushed anymore. Okay. I was thinking of one for you there. One question each. If you started a pressure washing / roof cleaning business tomorrow, what's the first system you put in place? What's number one?
Marketing. What I've just spoke about. Knowing exactly
your spends and your metrics.
Because I've told the story, haven't I, about the Yale.com 20,000 rip-off. Yeah, not doing that again. But yeah, I would put that in place, because everybody needs marketing straight away and everyone needs to account for it. Don't just spend it aimlessly, hoping and guessing that it's going to work and not knowing. Marketing.
Good one.
That's
good one.
Definitely.
No.
Question for you. What's the most efficient thing you implemented in any of your businesses?
CRM system. Absolutely. Does everything. Schedule all my socials, all my leads come in. I can communicate to the leads through that. Tracks all my Facebook ads. Tracks my conversion rates. Tracks how many people book calls with me. Automate all my follow-ups. Absolutely. CRM system. Not as easiest. That's the easiest one you've ever asked me. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So last bit of the show, we started implementing one question a week from listeners. We've got one here. How long? I got 5-6 minutes. I think it ties in nicely. I think so. I'm going to read it out here. It says, "Another amazing pod, boys. Thank you very much. I was wondering for a future episode if you could go into the cycle of work a little bit more week to week. I'm looking to build my business into a 4-day working week on the tools plus 1 day of limited admin. Do you guys have a formula for this? Maybe a question more for Michael, as I know Matt has other businesses, so it might blur the lines." No, Matt can answer that. We can just keep it for his roof cleaning business. He's basically saying he wants to keep all his work into 4 days and 1 admin day. What formula does he need to make that happen? That's his question.
Cool. Okay, cool. Well, I'd say the first thing you need to do is go right back to the start of the pods and understand your numbers, because that formula will only work if you understand your numbers. So if you need to let's keep it simple, right? If you need to earn £1,000 a week and you're only going to work 4 days, you need to earn 250 quid a day.
Yeah.
Right? So understand your numbers. That will give you what you need to earn in a week over 5 days. If you only want to work 4 days, then split it over the 4 days. That will give you your daily earnings for 4 days, and your 5th day is admin day. That is the simplest way to answer that. Don't just take the 5th day off if you don't know your numbers, because your numbers, as we say, don't lie. It underpins everything you do. Obviously, I just said £1,000 because it was an easy sum to work out through 4 days. But if you know your numbers, if you followed all the series that we do and you know your numbers, then making that formula work is super simple.
Yes.
Super simple. That's it.
And when you know those numbers, then you can also then go, fuck it, I want 3 days, not 4. I want to work 3 and maybe 2 and 1. Then I want to get out of the business. That knowing your numbers allows you to do that. And I think I'll just pipe in there about your admin. It's great to have an admin day, but know exactly what you're doing before it. Don't just sit down and go, right, I've got to do some admin now. What should we do? We'll have a little look around here. It should be, bam, 9 till 10 we're doing social media, 10 to 11 we're doing bookkeeping, etc., etc. That's what I would recommend. So you've got your 4 solid days, like Matt just said, after you've worked out what you need to earn. And then you go, let's really maximise this last day here to do admin, because that day of admin will then keep you going, and it will just take away all that stress, and you can just focus 4 days on the work then. So hopefully that has answered your question. If anyone else has any questions, by the way, drop us a message on Instagram, on either one of our Instagrams, or comment down below on this video, and we will try and we've got 3 or 4 questions still to answer, but if you drop us a question, we'll try and answer 1 each episode. So yeah, please do that. That has brought us to the end of episode 7. We're flying through them, you know.
We are. I can't believe that's the end of episode.
It's crazy, isn't it?
7 weeks in, isn't it?
It's mad.
7 weeks in, but I know we speak offline, and the feedback that I've had from people, the messages, it's getting traction now, and people are saying to me, mate, I'm just implementing little bits. I'm taking little nuggets away, and you know what? I'm starting to see the difference, and that is why we do it.
Absolutely.
Give it all away for free. Give it all away for free, and it's that's how it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm right enjoying it.
Me too. Yeah, keep the messages coming in. I get loads as well through Instagram and stuff. Messages, people saying they're loving it and they find it useful. I was saying to you here the other day, I was saying all the people listening, let's give everyone a shout out here, because the people and the countries that people are listening from. If I go locations here, so I'm just checking, we got so most of it isn't obviously in Europe, so we've got 80% in the UK, but then we've got the US, we've got Belgium, Ireland, Sweden, France. We got loads of people everywhere listening. So Denmark, how's it ended up there? So hello to all of you people who are listening in those countries. It's mad. And man, get involved, ask us questions if you want to. Like we said before, this is a series of 12. That's going to be season 1, and then we're going to go into just open topics after that. So that's episode 7. Episode 8 is team building and management, so that'll be coming very soon. And any suggestions for future episodes, let us know, and please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because it helps the algorithms. So Matt, thank you very much for joining us again.
Yeah,
and
back to the grind.
Yeah, let's watch England tonight. Yes. Watch that at 9 o'clock. Bloody hell, I'll be asleep by half time. And that's not our tactics either. I'm just knackered all the time, but nice one. Right, so see you later, man, and we'll see you all on the next episode.
Cheers, pal. Take care.